Shalom. This is Truth is Everlasting, Lion's Den. I am Yahweh Sop. I camp out with Lion Den, Hawan Ben Joshua Water in Jacksonville, Florida. But first, I'd like to give a prayer to the Father, to the Son, to the elders, to the archons, and to the women and children's Kal, Halayim La, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Bahashem Ha Rokak Wavash, Mahama. In the name of Yahweh Shai, in spirit and holy and truth, double honors to the elders of 144,000 chosen elect. Double honors to the elders of GMS. Double honors to my elder Hawan. Salutation to the archons who are in the four corners of the earth. And to the women and children, Shalom. Okay, well, this video popped up on my phone. Martin Armstrong warns terror attack on Israel. A joint intelligence operation to draw Russia into World War III. It almost sounds that the whistleblower is saying that it's done intentionally. Right? Now, why would that be? Why Israel, America, right? Russia and China will be doing that? Well, because they too read the Bible, right? And they see and understand some things, so they have to play the part that Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai controls them to play, and they have to play it with the intent to deceive that they are in control of what they're doing when they're not. Okay? Now, the title of this lesson is called 2 or 3 Witnesses, a Matter Shall Be Confirmed. I'll play a little bit of this video, and then we go into the lesson. Here we go.
Welcome to Brighteon.com. I'm Mike Adams, the founder of Brighteon Free Speech Video Platform. And speaking of free speech, today we have an extraordinary guest who is, at its very core, a financial analyst, but so much more, geopolitics. One of the highest IQ individuals that I know in this space, Martin Armstrong, joins us from Armstrong Economics, and that's his website, armstrongeconomics.com. Mr. Armstrong, welcome back to the show. It's great to have you on today.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
It's my honor, sir. You do extraordinary work, and I really enjoy your short posts and your analysis of what's going on. I understand you've just posted a full report about Israel called The Next Jihad. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, so that's a paid report on your website. You want to give us kind of a breakdown of where things stand right now with Israel?
Well, we have pretty renowned sources. And effectively, this is the next World Trade Center fiasco. I mean, our sources were saying that even people, troops that were at the border were pulled away 2 days in advance and reassigned. I can tell you that Assad took his children to Israel and parked them there ahead of this. To China. And it's just, look, they needed this war. And this is what it's really all about. They knew this was coming, and they allowed it to happen. The same thing with 9/11. It's just the way it is.
Now, since this has happened, I agree with your assessment, by the way. I mean, the narrative that this was, quote, an intelligence failure is absurd. Israel has extraordinarily capable intelligence. They would have known, they did know, but they had to back down. But I notice in the aftermath of this now, all the gloves are off. There's no resistance against any decision that the government wants to make, no matter how radical or vengeance-oriented it might be. Where do you think this is going?
Well, this was actually intended to open a second front against Russia. They believe that Russia is involved with Syria, Iran, even Hamas. They're saying some of the most intelligent, sophisticated equipment, actually, they're saying, it really came from Russia. Our sources were talking about, the amount of weapons that Biden left behind in Afghanistan will fund the entire war.
Yes.
I mean, this whole thing is just one giant joke. I mean, it's the same thing with Ukraine. I mean, it was the U.S. that instigated Kiev to attack the Donbass, and that was back in 2014.
Right.
The very people that were caught in Syria, gassing Syrians to try and blame Assad, have been, they've been involved in Ukraine. I mean, this has been about creating war. And in all honesty, what's really happening here is the global financial system is imploding.
Yes.
That's why they need, digital currencies, all this sort of thing. They've been borrowing for since World War II with no intention of ever paying anything back. And I've been in meetings for 40 years warning them this is not going to survive.
Yes.
And here you have these neocons that have just never gotten over the fact that the Cold War, and communism actually failed by itself.
What do you make of the fact, and you already mentioned Russia, but what about the fact that Barack Obama, of course, laundered billions of dollars, gave it to Iran, that also enabled Iran to essentially relaunch its nuclear weapons development program, and then Joe Biden unleashes another $6 billion just recently, and then on top of that, you have the Democrat Socialists in America, some members of Congress now celebrating Hamas. It seems like certainly the Democrats, at least Obama and Joe Biden, were funding Iran, which is funding Hamas and Hezbollah and others. Is that accurate?
Well, yes. I mean, what you have to understand is that under the pretense of liberalism, it's really fascism. What is fascism? Fascism is really when government is taking control of the private sector. That's really what fascism truly is. All right, they direct everything, what you're going to manufacture, how much, where it's going to go, etc. This is basically what they're getting involved in, and we've been moving down this direction with cancel culture and all this sort of thing. All the the media is just the cheerleaders for World War III. It's astonishing, but
it really is, yeah.
Nobody seems to care where this is going.
And this could go nuclear pretty quickly, either with Russia, but also with Israel. In fact, I want to ask you, it looks like, we're recording this on October 10th, and it looks like Israel's attack on ground invasion of Gaza is imminent. And apparently from Netanyahu and others, Gallant, the defense minister, they are talking as if they intend to eradicate 2 million Palestinian civilians in Gaza. Mm-hmm. And they've cut off their food, their water, their electricity, and their fuel, which is a violation of UN, by the way, war conventions. And they're talking like they're about to engage in an eradication. Are they out of their minds? Are they miscalculating? Or what's going on?
There is a group we call the neocons, and they're on both sides, Republican, Democrat, and they flip sides, in all honesty. I knew Bill Kristol. He was chief of staff for Quayle in the Bush White House, and now he's advising Democrats.
Yeah.
Bill had written a book to justify going into Iraq. I believe, after knowing some of these people personally, that when Khrushchev said, "We will bury you," they decided they were going to attack and bring democracy to the world. But their version of democracy is really totalitarianism.
Yes.
That aside from the point, is that communism failed, and they refused to accept that. All right, so their view is, oh, if we go into Iraq, the Iraq people will cheer and they'll get a ticker tape parade. This is what they tell themselves. It has never happened once. You can Google Tony Blair's apology, saying we thought we were going to save people and they got worse for them. This is the way it is. They really think if they can go in and take out Putin, that the Russian people will cheer, and it's not going to happen.
I know, but they live in this bubble. The neocons, they live in this bubble of their own delusions, and then they read each other's op-eds, and they think it's all true, but they're so segmented from reality. Like you said, they thought Russian people would cheer Putin being taken out. Not at all. Putin is more popular than ever.
And I mean, I was in the middle of all of that before. What they were actually blackmailing Yeltsin and trying to stick in Baryshnovsky back in the 2000 Russian election. And they were rigging the Russian elections. And that's why Hillary blamed Putin, basically. But when Yeltsin realized that he was being set up, and he turned to Putin. And Putin was not a politician, and he basically was not an oligarch. And so the people actually cheered him because there were the old hardline communist people, which Putin was not. Putin realized that the people would never tolerate going back to communism. And he wasn't an oligarch like Baryshnovsky and that crew. So, that's why his popularity soared over 70%. And, the neocons don't want to admit that, but they're the ones that created Putin.
Yeah.
And by trying to blackmail Yeltsin, Yeltsin turned to Putin at the last minute and said, here, protect Russia.
It seems like everything the neocons try to do actually backfires on themselves. And here's another example I want to ask you about. America sent an extraordinary amount of munitions to Ukraine over the last year and a half, including, by the way, raiding America's munitions stockpiles in Israel and sending hundreds of thousands of 155 artillery shells to Ukraine, depleting Israel's stockpiles and depleting America's stockpiles. And also, of course, as you're aware, the United Kingdom, its stockpiles are, quote, the bottom of the barrel. They don't have any munitions left. Now we have potentially a new war front opening in Israel. The United States has said it's going to assist at least with a naval presence. But how can the West, which no longer really manufactures much artillery, how can the West fight now two wars at the same time, not to mention China? It could be 3.
4.
Well, what's the 4?
You're looking at North Korea, and you're also looking at Taiwan.
There you go. So this is insanity, is it not?
Yeah, look, the Victoria Nuland, who they often call the queen of neocons, if you actually do a little bit of digging, you'll see that her family is Ukrainian. I mean, there's such a conflict of interest in all this stuff. Her sister-in-law is the one that puts out all the propaganda against Russia, and they call themselves the Institute for the Study of War.
Right.
Not peace, but war. That's all they ever want. And it's just, I don't know why a lot of people, I think even the New York Times had written about this family, that they're always involved in all this stuff, and they're constantly pushing for war.
They are.
All the time. I think it was Ron Paul that basically came out and said these neocons have been waging wars for 30-some years and haven't won a single one yet.
Yeah.
McNamara, you can Google that also. Before he died, he basically did a video and said, gee, I'm very sorry, we were wrong in Vietnam. We thought the Russians were involved and we had it all wrong.
Okay, so as you can see that more and more truth is coming out that the reason they're doing war is really for the love of money, to raise taxes and to bring in the digital currency, the smart cities, right? And to mandate the MOTB, the CHIP, the charagma, right? The potato chip, right? I want to go to Deuteronomy 19, verse 15. One witness shall not rise up against a man for any iniquity or for any sin. In any sin that he sins at the mouth of 2 witnesses or at the mouth of 3 witnesses shall the matter be established. Right? So check this out. How is it? I saw in the news that they were saying that Palestine was using some type of hand glider device, and they passed the technology of Israel. When Israel bragged so much for many years, made document movies how advanced and smart they are, right, in protecting the land. And also that there's a lot of tunnels under the ground. Are you going to tell me that the Palestinians flushed themselves in the toilet in Palestine and landed under the ground in Israel and murder baby, children's father, mothers, grandpa, grandma? On top of that, you're going to tell me that if the tiny hats are the promised ones, are the chosen ones, right? That the God, because I don't know, I forgot the name of God that they have, but that the God, the true living God, Yahweh Bashin Yahushai, would not tell them, hey, put some cameras or robots or AIs under the tunnels. And don't they have AI watching day and night the sky? See, this smells fishy. Okay? It doesn't compute. Let me go to verse 16. If a false witness rise up against any man to testify against him that which is wrong, we go to Exodus chapter 23, verse 1. Thou shalt not rise a false report. Put not thy hand with the wicked to be unrighteous witness. Right? Don't do wicked for wicked. Right? But wait a minute. Tiny hats, can they explain to us how it was when they were so-called black, left Israel, came back in 48, right? Came back white. I have an Archeon that did a lesson on that. A real good lesson too, through the Holy Spirit in the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. So that's interesting, right? And also, they're not the original owners of the land of Israel, not even the Palestinians. Okay? So there's 2 groups that are not the true people of the land, right? Because it's when Yahweh Shai comes back and he calls his people, the so-called Negros Latinos, Namek and speckled birds, that he's going to give the land back to. And he's only coming back for 144,000 chosen elect and 1/3. Okay? And there will be no more war. See how things are not making sense right now with these tiny hats? I want to go back to Deuteronomy chapter 19, verse 17. Give me a minute. Then both the men between whom the controversy is shall stand before Yahweh, before the priests and the judges, which shall be in those days. Well, did they show the priests to the in TV and the news nationwide? Did they show the judges? Because, if they are the promised ones, ain't they supposed to be obeying the law of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai and not making laws unto themselves? Let's go Deuteronomy 17, verse 8. If there arise a matter too hard for thee in judgment, between blood and blood, between plead and plead, and between stroke and stroke, being matters of controversy within thy gates, then shalt thou arise and get thee up into the place which Yahweh thy God shall choose. They're not showing the wisdom from above, is what I want to say. They're using fleshly wisdom. I mean, they turn off the lights. They're cutting off water. Isn't that breaking the contract treaty that they have, right, with nations? You're not supposed to do that. That's a no-no. I want to go to verse 9. And thou shalt come unto the priests, the Levites. It'll be interesting. Who are the Levites in the tiny, tiny hats in Israel? Okay? And unto the judge that shall be in those days, and inquire, and they shall show thee the sentence of judgment. Verse 10. And thou shalt do according to the sentence which they of that place which Yahweh chose shall show thee, and thou shalt observe to do according to all that they inform thee. When it says that Yahweh has chose, it's talking about the law. There's only 613 laws. So how come they're not showing which one they are obeying? I mean, out of the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, right? That's interesting. Verse 11. According to the sentence of the law, there you go, you see, which they shall teach thee, and according to the judgment which they shall tell thee, thou shalt do, thou shalt not decline from the sentence which they shall show thee to the what? To the right hand, nor to the left hand. That's right. You can't make laws unto yourself. You have to, if you're saying you God's people, you tiny, tiny hats of Israel over there, you're supposed to be obeying the 613 laws and go accordingly. Things that make you say, Going to Deuteronomy chapter 19, verse 18. And the judge shall make diligent inquisition. And behold, if the witness be a false witness, and has testified falsely against his brother. Take it slow here. Is the tiny, tiny hats brothers with Palestinians? I mean, are they righteous? Are they quoting in the name of Yahweh Shem Shai in faith? Are they speaking ancient Paleo-Hebrew? I mean, they got the time, the technology to do that, right? Moving along. Verse 19. Then shall ye do unto him, and he has thought to have done unto his brother. so shalt thou put the evil away from among you. So, if Tiny Hats has a brother doing some wicked or getting false information, they're supposed to be putting him away. All right? Because he's lying. He's deceiving his own people. Let's go to Proverbs. Proverbs chapter what? 19, verse 5. A false witness shall not be unpunished, and he that speaks lies shall not escape. No. Not even the Edomites of America won't be able to escape, even when they go in their bunkers. That's going to be their tomb, their grave. Jumping to verse 9. A false witness shall not be unpunished. He that speaks lies shall perish. Right? Perish means suffer death, typically in a violent, sudden, or untimidly way. Woo! Ain't gonna be pretty, in other words. Not at all. Moving to 1 John chapter 5, verse 8. And there are three that bears witness in earth. Let's see if the Tiny Hats are doing this. The Spirit, the water, and the blood. And these three agree in one. So let's take it slow. The Tiny Hat, do they have the Holy Spirit? Have they received the truth? Water means receive the word, the truth. And the blood, have they received the blood, the name of Yahweh Shai? Because they don't believe in the Son, right? And if they don't believe in the Son, how can they believe in the Father? Uh-oh. Verse 9. If we receive the witness of men, and the witness of Yahweh is greater, for this is the witness of Yahweh, which he has testified of his Son. Yeah. Now we do have some tiny hats that say, yeah, we believe in the Son. But they believe in that Jesus, right? That blue eyes, long blonde hair, loves wearing high heels. Caesar Borgia, son of a pope. That's who they're talking about. Okay? Moving to verse, give me a minute, 10. He that believes on the Son of Yahweh hath the witness in himself. He that believes not, Yahweh has made him a liar, because he believes not the record that Yahweh gave of his Son. So what is this that the Edomites of America have been sending billions and billions and billions of dollars, right, every year, taxpayers' money, to Israel, and they do not accept the Son? What the hell is that? That's some wicked shit. Then we jump to Romans. Oh, wow, Slakia. I was supposed to go. All right. In 1 John chapter 5, verse 8, I forgot to go to John. I'll have to do that now, Slakia. John chapter 15, verse 26. And it says, but when the Comforter is come, whom I will send unto you from the Father, even the Spirit of truth, which proceeds from the Father, he shall testify of me. Well, I don't see that with the tiny hats at all. No sirree. Now let me go to and jump to Romans and slack it for that. Chapter 8, verse 16. The Spirit itself bears witness with our spirit that we are the children of Yahweh. Woo! The so-called Negros, Latinos, Americans, and speckled birds. And how come Vocab Malone is not talking about the tiny, tiny hats? How come he didn't write a book letting people know that they are not the ones that the Bible is talking about? What's up with that, Malone? I want to go to John again, chapter 14, verse 16. It's like it for the jumping around. And I will pray the Father, and he shall give you another comforter, that he may abide with you forever. Well, I don't see the comforter with the tiny, tiny hats at all. I don't even see them using wisdom from above at all. Do you see them in the highways and byways as a living sacrifice? I don't see that either. Very interesting. Verse 17. Even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive. There we go. Because it seeing him not, neither knows him, but ye know him, for he dwells with you and shall be in you. That's right. That's how you bear the truth. The truth will come out of you when you speak. You don't hear that from the tiny, tiny hat speaking truth. All they're doing is war, 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 war. Right? Moving to John. Internet is freezing. John chapter 16, verse 13. Howbeit, when he, the Spirit of truth, is come, he will guide you into all truth, for he shall not speak of himself, but whosoever, here we go, he shall hear, that shall he speak, and he will show you things to come. We do not hear at all the tiny, tiny hats talking about the wickedness, the danger of this digital currency known as invisible money. If they have the Comforter, if they have Yahweh Shah, they don't accept the Son. Yep, that's what it is. Let me go now and leave it with Ephesians. And slack it for the jumping around. I lost track on that. Chapter 1, verse 13. I'll leave it with this. In whom ye also trust, after that ye heard, and heard, Slaka, the word of truth, the gospel of your salvation, in whom also after that ye believe, ye were sealed with that Holy Spirit of promise. Well, to this day, the tiny, tiny hats have not proven that they have the seal. They have not proven that they have been called in the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. They don't even call the ancient Paleo-Hebrew name in faith. Okay? I hope that this was edifying, and with that I say Shalom.